Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Got my hand on the gospel plow. Wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Freedom's name is mighty sweet. One of these days we're gonna meet. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas were bound in jail, had no money for the bail. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas thought their day was lost. Dungeon shook and the chains come off. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Scott Verbeek. Only thing I did was wrong. Stay in the wilderness for too long. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. The only thing we did was right. Was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. One more time. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. One more time. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
Because I was on and turned it off. Okay, I'm just thinking, let's just cancel church and we'll just do a concert this morning. We could have both, and we already have both. And frankly, if you feel like the Spirit is in our midst, whatever gets you there is worship. So thanks for being here and doing your thing. And thanks to all of you for being here on this beautiful day. I'm Beth Hayward. I'm minister amongst you. And as we gather this day to be filled up and fed by the Spirit on these traditional and stolen lands of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh peoples, let's just really celebrate the fact that we can be here. that we get to come in and week out, whether it's behind our screens or in this building, to just a gorgeous space that is filled with so much history of others who have struggled for justice, who have kept their eyes on the prize, if you will, the idea that the kingdom of Christ can be built on our watch, in our time, and in our place. Whatever you come hungry for today, you are welcome here. Wherever you've been told you're not welcome, that doesn't hold here. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whatever you struggle with, even if you don't use the same words for God as me, you are welcome here. All right, so let's join our hearts and our voices. Let's get on our feet and make those guys earn their money.
My heart to sing your praise, streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me something, Lord, your sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of God's unfailing love. Sojourning, giving thanks for having come to trust at every turning. God will guide me safely home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, came to rescue me from danger. Precious precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I am drawn anew. Let that grace now like a fetter bind my wandering heart to you. Prone to Children and Family Minister Tama is enjoying some much-needed time away, and I'm going to take her place today and invite any children who are with us, even the adults who love those children, to come on forward for the lighting of the candle. And you're welcome here if you're not usually here on Sunday, if this is your first time with us. And you can spread out along the steps that way, or you can face me if you don't want to be like looking. You can sit all here. I want everyone in the light, so come on forward. This way, closer. I want to be able to yeah. And you can face me or you can face out. Yeah, get your grown-ups, come on. And I was thinking today, we're celebrating with this week the birthday of my next door neighbor. He's turning 3. His name is Jake. He was born, he's a member of this church, was born when he was this big, not even 2 pounds. And now he's 3. And I was thinking about how it is that when we grow up, our bodies can do amazing things, because Jake now runs everywhere and says words like excavator. Really cool stuff like that.
So I want to just celebrate that we have these beautiful bodies that we're in that are sometimes filled with wiggles. Mine is a lot. Anyone else get like filled with wiggles? Anyone glad that school's over so you don't have to hold the wiggles in? No? You're not buying it, are you, Micah? You're saying, I don't get wiggly. Some people are so laid back that their bodies are just easy. It's so beautiful, the gift of these bodies. And so I wanted today, as we light the candle, and I'm wondering who could light the candle. And I don't want to put people on the spot. There's some kids visiting. I don't know your name at the end. Do you want to do it? Yeah, so come on up. I'll show you. You've not done this before, right? Okay, so come on up. It's already lit. It's pretty easy. And then you light that one. But all of us, while you're lighting it, I want you to just notice your body, to just feel the breath easy in and out. And I love to imagine as we open up to this Christ light in our presence, that feeling that with every breath in, it is hot. Did you get burned?
I don't know.
I don't think you did, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And so these bodies know how to react when fear sets in. They know how to calm us when fear sets in too. And so you all are a gift in our midst. And if you come to church and you're told, don't wiggle or be quiet, don't take it all too seriously, because we're really glad to have you here with however you show up. I'm going to let folks know that Mary up here will be taking the kids over to the fireside room for any who want to participate. Big kids will be like helpers, and little kids will be listening and playing with them, story time. So if you're here visiting, you're welcome to head out with Mary now. And for the rest of us, we're going to sort of carry on with a bit of our gospel feel today. So we'll start singing, and you all can head over to programs. We'll see you in a while.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound
your feet. And I'm going to, we are reintroducing the passing of the peace. So do approach those around you, perhaps with the prayer hands. Sit down if you don't feel comfortable being that close to others. An embrace or a handshake if that feels okay for you. Peace be with you. I'm going to call you back to your pews. And if you're worshiping online at home live, you'll just want to let you know that this congregation has a really bad reputation for taking like 10 minutes passing the peace. I thought week 2, reintroducing it, you'd still be a bit rusty, but clearly you're not. And it is so good to hear that energy and just to feel how great it is to be together again. We have a number of announcements today, so I'm going to invite our greeters who are going to pass the good old-fashioned offering plates. Sometimes you'll see that there's a stone or a card thrown into the plate. That's to indicate that people are giving directly through their bank account or their credit card. Any gifts are welcome at this time. And so a few announcements. So let me start with the birthday club. And I did the math on this today. This calendar year, we've brought in about $2,600 through the birthday club. Thank you. And it is a time for people to donate to the church the number of years that they're celebrating of their birth. And so in July, I know we have Yuri, we have Catherine McPherson, who's turning 90, I believe on July in June, she turned 90. Kathy Merchant, our Minister of Community Life, who's away right now, has a birthday in July. And I think and Robert Chown. Robert, happy birthday. I know you're watching online. Happy 88th birthday. So, beautiful celebrations on that. Also invite you to a workshop on July the 16th. Thomas Ord will be here at the Center for Peace in our building to offer a workshop on a Saturday morning. If you are someone who asks, why do bad things happen to good people? Can God actually, does God have a role in changing things in our lives and the world? What about climate change? Where's God at work in that? You might want to consider attending this workshop. It will be a great opportunity to sit with a really excellent teacher. I've seen him both in academic settings and with lay people, and he is excellent. So really urge you to sign up for that workshop through our website or just simply speak to me today. It is in person only. Tom Ord will also be part of the Vancouver School of Theology Summer School, so urge you to visit their website to see, starting this week, they have 2 weeks of summer school, and you can audit those classes for a very reasonable price on a whole host of topics. So please do look into that. And the Soul of Aging, this is a series that's starting in the fall based on Parker Palmer's work. Today, on July the 3rd, there will be a sampler, so you don't have to have signed up. If you're really interested in learning more about this, join the leaders in the Center for Peace upstairs in the fireside room around 12 noon today, so that you can learn a bit more about that. And you don't need to feel like you're aging to participate, though, heads up, you're all aging. We're looking for a facility host for our Center for Peace. This is the front face at the desk, weekends and evenings. If you know anyone who might need a little extra work, perhaps a student, perhaps an early retiree, do be in touch about that. And I'm going to hand things over now to Karen for an announcement.
It's on? You can hear me? No? Oh, yes, you can hear me now. So I'm Karen Vanderhayden, and next Sunday after church, we're going to have a congregational meeting. Tom Schaeferly, our treasurer, presented a little bit to give you some background that it's been a tough year for us, and so we will be presenting a deficit budget. We welcome all of you, both online and in person, to stay after church. And we will be also presenting our new members. We have a fabulous new team that are coming on the board. We also want to say thank you to the people that are leaving, that have provided a lot of service over the last 3 years. So we welcome all of you, whether you're members or not. We would love for you to stay and be part of this meeting. It's going to be an important one. Thank you.
Now, our next announcement requires some setup, so I am going to just assist with that and just be patient. This will be well worth it. And so I'm going to hand things over to Ann Galinsky, who is known to many of you. I'm going to make sure we don't have technical difficulties. Here we go. Over to you.
Thank you. I think you all know what to do here. Give me a P. Give me an A. Give me an R. What's that stand for, everybody? Pre-authorized remittance. That's exactly right. Now, I have some questions for our PAR cheerleaders here. And the first one is, who can tell me what pre-authorized remittance means? Bob, there's the mic.
See if I can remember. The PAR donor authorizes the church to withdraw from their bank account or your credit card an amount pledged every month, or more if you'd like. That's P.
Thank you. And why, Miss A, why is pre-authorized remittance the preferred way of giving for the church?
Excellent question, Anne. So the reason it's such a good idea is because knowing how much money is coming into the church every month really, really, really helps us with our budget.
Thank you. And the last one for Miss R, who can tell me what these colored cards and pebbles that you see when you come in, what do they mean?
Well, this is a PAR card, and those who use a pebble or a PAR card and put it into the collection plate are signifying that they're monthly donors and support Canadian Memorial and all its ministries.
Yay! Now, you're probably wondering, because I see several of you even trying to bolt for the door to find out how to sign up for PAR. And what you do is it's very simple. The forms are in the office, or if you go online and you go on the website to donate at the top of the page, on the right, as a matter of fact, and click on donate, you will find that you are able to download the PAR form. So our message here today for you is sign up for PAR. Thank you.
So for our next announcement, at this point, as you notice, there probably aren't any singers here, but you guys did such a fantastic job with that Amazing Grace earlier. I was so moved by the spirit of the singing in this room. If you feel compelled, hopefully it's a compulsion at this point, to sing along. If you find yourself tapping your toe, whatever, singing along to any one of our live streams or Sunday services in person, I invite you to come and join the CMUC choir, which will be starting in September in the fall. If you have an enthusiasm to sing, to improve, you're more than welcome. Shoot me an email at choir@canadianmemorial.org. Let me know if you've had any experience. No experience is required, but if you have any experience, it's totally welcomed. Let me know if you're a soprano, alto, or tenor, or bass, whatever you want to do. So, open invitation to choir. Let's all sing together. Yeah. And I'll add that all the songs that you've ever heard on our Sunday services will be featured in somehow a choir capacity. So hopefully not a ton of learning. It'll be nice and easy. It's not going to be super difficult. Hopefully it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a welcome challenge for everyone. Let's rise and sing this next song. This one's called Lean on Me.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean. One more time, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend, and I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Good morning. The scripture lesson today is a larger-than-life tale from 2 Kings. Listen carefully as we are drawn into an ancient world where the protagonist, Naaman, finds again and again that he is looking for healing in all the wrong places. A reading from 2 Kings. Naaman, commander of the army of the king of Aram, was a great man and in high favor with his master, because by him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man, though a mighty warrior, suffered from leprosy. Now the Arameans, on one of their raids, had taken a young girl captive from the land of Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." So Naaman went in and told his lord just what the girl from the land of Israel had said. And the king of Aram said, "Go then, and I will send along a letter to the king of Israel." He went, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of garments. He brought the letter to the king of Israel, which read, "When this letter reaches you, know that I have sent you my servant Naaman, that you may cure him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God, to give death or life, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Just look and see how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king. "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me, that he may learn that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots. He halted at the entrance of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go, wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman became angry and went away, saying, "I thought that for me he would surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and would wave his hand over the spot and cure the leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" He turned and went away in a rage. But his servants approached him and said, "Father, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, would you not have done it? How much more when all he said to you was, 'Wash and be clean'?" So he went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. His flesh was restored like the flesh of a young boy, and he was clean. This is the witness of God's people.
About a year ago, I was recording a podcast with sort of one of my mentors, one of those people I listen to and read all the time, and he said yes to being on the podcast, the Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson. And I'm nervous. I'm sitting there in front of the camera and the Zoom. We get into it, and I'm thinking, all right, this is going well. Yeah, this is going to be good. And then at one point, he stops and he leans into the camera and he says to me, "How about we do some Bible study?" And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, but you're going to pick the Hebrew scriptures and I'm not going to know the answers and I'm going to embarrass myself and my podcast will never fly and I'll lose my career all because a rabbi asked me a question. But in reality, I took a breath and I leaned into the camera and I said, "Sure, I'd love to." So friends, how about we do a little Bible study? And I too am going to choose a Hebrew scripture and I'm going to assume that you learned about as much as I did in Sunday school and I'm gonna get us all on the same page, okay? So we are talking today about the book of Kings. Who all learned to memorize the books of the Bible as a kid? Yeah, great. So we'll stop when we get to it, right? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges. Who said Ruth? Oh, you get the gold star, of course, Duncan knew it. 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. Did I mess up, Duncan? Did I miss anything? Thank you. So it's kind of like in the middle, just before we get to the prophets and the Psalms. And guess what these 2 books are about? The kings of Israel, okay? So just think of it as one book. The beginning of 1 Kings, the great King David dies. And then what is told is his son takes the throne, and then his son, and then another son. And then that Jezebel comes in, and of course, it's all blamed on her that we end up with the 2 kingdoms. The northern and southern kingdoms separate. You've got Judah in the south and Israel up north. And then between those 2 kingdoms, there's another 20 kings each. And just about every last one of them makes a total wreck of things. So idolatry, like praising other gods, and total injustices, just a hideous amount of awfulness. So God comes in after 40 kings. God doesn't work in our time. And God says to God's self, seems like the kings aren't working out. So it says, I know what I'll do. I'll send some prophets. And the prophet's job, sole job of a prophet, like who does not want to be called as a prophet? Your job is to call out the injustice and the idolatry of the king and the people. I'm not sure if it's the best conflict resolution means for God to not deal with the kings, but to call in the prophets, but it's what happened, according to the story. So, first prophet, very well known, is Elijah. In fact, there's a seat at the table at the Seder meal for Elijah. He's the one that was pulled up in the clouds, right, Duncan? Or was that Elisha? He's not even helping me with my Bible study. Elijah did these 7 wondrous acts, and then comes Elisha, who does 14. Big deal, amazing guy. All right, now that's the background. Now we're going to get to Naaman. So Naaman's not a Jew. He's living over here in Syria. And he's a great general. And let's just say, as a great general, I guess you do what generals do in biblical times, right? You attack people, you pilfer their land, you probably rape their women, you wreak havoc on your neighbors. So he's a great general. So Naaman comes down with leprosy. Which of us doesn't know how a health crisis is the great equalizer, right? Does not matter if you are the greatest general. Does not matter if you have all the riches in the world. And Ruby can walk wherever Ruby wants. In fact, I'll say to the rest of you, Ruby's the daughter of ministers. So she's come to church today like she owns the place, which is totally appropriate. So if you see her somewhere, just make sure she doesn't run out the door, because her mums can then sit and enjoy church, okay? Everyone on board with that? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, Naaman and his leprosy. All right, now here's where the interesting bits begin. So, he does what all of us would do, right? When you're faced with something that's just tearing your life apart, that threatens to kill you, to completely wreak havoc on the future you thought you had, he goes and tries to figure out what to do about it. And it's in this moment that this captive girl, who's like a servant of his wife, who they pretty much stole from Israel a while back, comes and says, if he just knew about this Elijah guy, he'd heal him in an instant. So, strange thing, Naaman listens to the servant girl, goes to the king. The king says, yes, you have my blessing. In fact, I'll help you get the healing. I'll send you with a big letter, some shekels of gold and some talents of silver, and 10 outfits, because I heard that king has a really good fashion sense. So I don't know why they sent the outfits, actually. Ask Duncan, he'll know. So they head up to the northern kingdom of Israel, to Samaria. Knock, knock, knock on the door of the king. The king opens the door, and he's, I'm not going to swear in church on this one, but he is like, what the heck are you doing here? You killed my father. You've stolen our young girls. You've, picked on us relentlessly over these generations. Tears his clothes, slams the door. And then this is where the voice of God comes in, right? Because Elisha hears, and Elijah's like, yeah, sorry, God's grace is for all. Send that Syrian up to me, a Aramean, and I'll fix him up with some healing. Okay. And this is where it gets really interesting. So it goes to Elijah's door, and who comes out but the servant? Yeah, Elijah was expecting you. He's too busy to come out and say hello, but just go over to the river, wash, and you'll be made clean. Okay, here's the trouble, and here is the interesting bit. There are 2 things at play in this story that I want to lift up for us, because frankly, I think they are like our Achilles heel. They are things that you and I wrestle with again and again. One is, and we'll get to this in a moment, those voices that speak to you and show you the way forward, but they're not the right voices, right? So that the servant girl. And then when he's told to bathe in the water, then his servant is like, kind of easy. Why are you so mad? Had Elijah given you a difficult task, would you have done it? So there's those voices that we don't expect to give us good advice or lead us on the right path. And then there's the problem of the easy path. Because the servant says, washing is easy. But from Naaman's point of view, nothing at all easy about it. So I call these the yeah, but duo, okay? So we've got the yeah, but that person would have nothing to say to me. And the yeah, but that is definitely not the easy path. Anyway, maybe I'm the only stubborn one in our midst. But you know how it is when you're told, I think this is what you should try. And it might make sense, but it looks really, really hard. Like, let's talk about a broken friendship. Oh, the first course of action could be talking to your friend. Just sort of laying it on the table, being vulnerable and true. No way. No way. I'd be like God. I'd be like, no, I'll send the prophet to do that work. Don't want to talk to my enemy. So sometimes the easy path just doesn't strike us as easy as it might be. Whether it's our personal relationships or the big stuff that we deal with, climate crisis, which I swear is not my pet issue. It is the issue of our time. That's why you're going to hear it in just about every sermon. Climate crisis, we know the science. We have loads of psychology about human nature. We actually have lots of technology to make a difference, but that path's not easy. No, what's easy is what we already know. Like, I mean, if we started making those radical changes, I might need to give some things up. Looks like a lot of work. Jobs would be lost. I don't know. Weigh that against like mass migration, species extinction, food insecurity. Fact is, there actually is no easy path. It's just that when we are rooting ourselves in the tradition of Jesus of Nazareth, there is a truer path, a more authentic path, a more God-aligned path. And often it's the one that strikes us as not so easy from the get-go. Other part I want to lift up about this is that piece of the voices we tend to ignore. So we've got the servant girl telling him, go up to Judah, up to Israel. And then we've got the servant who's with him saying, like, take the easy path. But did you notice Naaman actually listens to those voices quite readily, which is really unexpected. I mean, you would not listen to those people in that time. And I wonder if the great equalizer is that he has been brought to his knees by this illness. When the rug is torn out, when we see that the future we had planned is no longer guaranteed, because frankly, it was never guaranteed. All that is guaranteed is this moment and what we do with it. But when we are brought to our knees, we are a little more open to hearing from the voices that we usually, it's not so much that we intentionally silence, just don't see them. We don't hear them. We hang out with people like us. We're just not privy to those voices. But when we're looking for our own survival, or as I would say, when we're looking desperately to build the kingdom of God because we see that the world needs it more than ever, suddenly those voices raised into our consciousness. I want to give you an example. This week, I have sat on my computer screen for far too many hours watching the Vancouver City Council. No disrespect to you, Christine Boyle, but I don't know how you do it. I sat for 3 meetings. There's a proposal to amend a bylaw to build a bit bigger building than is allowed at Arbutus and 8th. I used to live a block from there. I've been vocal on this before. I moved from there a year ago because rent in Kitsilano was getting to be a little bit much. So this is a supportive housing project. I've sat through these meetings because the public gets to have their say even when we have nothing to say. And I have sat through I'm signed up to speak. I'm speaker 209. I think I'll be speaking in about February. At this point, they've made it through 89. And what I'm hearing are the usual stories, but it's things like the children at the school next door, there's going to be too much shadow on them from this supportive housing building. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, first of all, I'm thinking, we live in Vancouver, people. Like, does it matter if there's a shadow? It's always raining. But I do think it's, it's thinly veiled. not in my backyard stuff. Then there's, it's always a traffic snarl around there. Yeah, it is. It is at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. because you're driving your kids to school. If they were walking and biking to school, that might take care of the traffic snarl. And besides which, these guys living on the poverty line probably aren't coming in with their cars either. And here's the thing. All of us who are speaking, I'm sure all 209 of us, have never found ourselves in the situation where we need to consider living in that building. Those voices. It's not even like the servant is there with us anymore. We don't even need to hear the voices of the other in our world today. And I keep thinking to myself as I'm watching these meetings and thinking, why are we so afraid? Yeah, why are we so afraid? People just need to be housed. And I think of my dad who died a year ago, who spent the last 20 years of his life living in poverty, like we're talking on welfare in poverty. And when he got into one of these buildings, what a difference. What a difference it made in his health, in his mental health, in his, I don't know. I don't know why we're so afraid of the other. I mean, we might think that every homeless person is a drunk and a drug addict, but let's admit, how many others of us drink too much? It's just no one knows because it's in our own homes. Right? So, my point, it is really, really hard these days for us to be in the presence of voices of people who are different from us. Because what happens on social media can be nasty and quick and short, but real encounters face-to-face with the other could go a whole long way to softening our hearts just a bit, to calling out our yeah, but moment. Maybe what I want to leave you with this day is an invitation. Remember the moments that you have been brought to your knees by some possible future that's not as you imagined, brought to your knees by illness or grief or heartbreak. Those are the moments that we learn and practice through prayer and contemplation. They soften our hearts to listen for the other. And so next time you, like me, go to yeah, but, maybe a step back to look at what's the wound here that's being touched, what's the fear that's rising up, and what is the call of the Spirit in our midst for me to do in this moment. There is no easy path, but there is a path that is walked on, led by the Spirit of Christ. And it's a path that each and every one of us can choose again and again and again to take. Even dear Naaman, all that he had done was offered a new beginning. There's one for you and us as well. May it be so. Amen.
Well, I'm tired and so weary, but I must go alone till the Lord comes and calls me away. Oh, yeah. Well, the morning's so bright and the Lamb is the light. Night is as black as the sea. There will be peace in the valley for me someday. There will be peace in the valley for me. Oh Lord, I pray there'll be no sadness, no sorrow, no trouble I see. There will be peace in the valley for me. Well, the bear will be gentle and the wolf be peace in the valley for me. There will be peace in the valley for me, for me, yeah.
We come now to the table. If you are joining us online and don't have your communion elements ready, feel free to grab whatever is nearby. There are many substitutes that can be used at this table. We gather here from many places, many backgrounds, diverse traditions, even religions perhaps. And when we gather around the table, we discover that our differences, they're not something to be feared. They are, in fact, the blessing that draws us together. The more we bring of ourselves, the more we are able to fully feel the presence of the holy in our midst. If you did not receive the communion elements when you arrived in the form of the little cup with the wafer on top, just put your hand up and it will be brought to you. The wafer's on top. It's sort of a two-stage opening process. Some of you will be pleased to know we're almost out of the prefab cups, so we'll have to return to more real communion next time. And so, come, children of God. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, you're welcome in this place, in this community, at this table. Come, remember with us, and bless this meal with me. Let's sing.
You were betrayed, you took the bread. After giving thanks, you broke it and said, "This is my body, broken for you." And as you eat it, remember me. This is my body, broken for you. And as you eat it, remember me. On the night you were betrayed, you held the cup. After giving thanks, you lifted it up. This is my life, poured out for you. And as you drink it, remember me. This is my life, poured out for you. And as you drink it, remember me. So we thank you for the cup and for the bread. For we see the life you gave and the life you led. And we remember your wondrous love. You gave your spirit to live in us. And we remember your wondrous love. You gave your spirit to live in us.
Pray with me, would you? Oh, Holy One, we live in a world with so much need. Yet here at this table, we've been fed. Our hunger ignited for a more just world, for ourselves and one another, for all of creation. We are so afflicted, by brokenness and division and lost hopes and dreams. Yet here, we hear your call to be a people of healing community, a people who strive for wholeness and justice. Though daily we reach our limits, here we have received the fullness of your grace. And so we know that at this table, our prayers are held. The deep longings in our own souls, our prayers for neighbor, our prayers for stranger, our prayers for creation, held in your grace. Having been fed by the mystery of your love, may we be sent forth in faith and in hope and in love. Thanks be to God. Amen.
I'm gonna live so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna live so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna work so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna work so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna pray so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna pray so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna sing so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. I'm gonna sing so God can use me anywhere, Lord, anytime. Anywhere, Lord, anytime. Ooh, anywhere, Lord, anytime. Oh, yeah.
Woo. There's very little I need to add to that. If you're online live, join us for virtual coffee hour. If you're here at the church, come on over to the Center for Peace and greet one another for a while. But mostly, you can pray, and you can sing, and you can dance, and you can be the people of God. So just go out there and do it like you mean it. Go, blessed by God, Creator, Redeemer, Giver of life. Amen.
Sent out in Jesus' name, our hands are ready now to make the world a place in which the kingdom comes. Sent out in Jesus' name, our hands are ready now to make the world a place in which the kingdom comes. The angels cannot change a world of hurt and pain into a world of love, of
Thank you, everybody. Have a great Sunday.